Hey, what's up everybody? Today we're looking at Wasteland Express by Matt Riddle, Ben Pinchback, Jonathan Gilmore. This is a game by Pandasaurus Games. Take a look at the cover real quick. I'm sure you've heard about this one. Wasteland Express Delivery Service. Let's take a look at the back of the box. So there it just shows a basic setup and all the different, well, some of the different vehicles. But this game is really great. The artwork is beautiful. Some of it is strange and inappropriate for younger people, but it's awesome. And there's also a QR code here that you can scan to see the Watch It Played video, which is done very well. There you go. It is 2 to 5 players, 90 to 120 minutes, 13 and up. Definitely 13 and up. First game's probably going to run 2 to 3 hours, depending on the number of players. But after the first game, if everybody's played, that's pretty accurate. First thing you're going to see is this little thing that's supposed to help you figure out where everything goes. I've already punched everything, and I got to tell you, this does not cover it all. At all. I mean, this helps you with the basics of this one tray and how to get the stuff back into the box. But it's going to be interesting figuring out where everything goes. So here's the instruction booklet. Again, they got a QR code so you can watch the Watch It Played video. I highly recommend checking that out. With this game, it's almost a must. It'll save you a lot of time going through all these rules here. But that being said, the rule book is pretty good. I mean, it shows you all the components. It walks you through different scenarios. It's got a whole page of flavor here. You can read about the theme and how it's a post-apocalyptic world and you work for the Wasteland Delivery Service, picking up and delivering food, water, and weapons to different places. And then all along the way you're trying to avoid these raiders, and there's different stories that you can play through the game. The game setup is done very nicely, and this is great. It shows you how the player board should be set up, where everything goes, where the tiles need to go, where the raider trucks need to go, how to fill the raider trucks. It's all really, the setup's superb. Gameplay overview is great. And then I do like how it has some appendices. See, Appendix A goes through all the truck mods. Appendix B, the outpost action. Very clear, very helpful. Appendix C shows the priority missions. And then there's different scenarios. There's different main priority 1 missions. And it'll go through each individual mission in detail. And these are very clear. There's not really any confusion there. The only confusing parts I've ever run across are some of the ally cards that tell you to re-roll. It's still kind of confusing about what to do when to re-roll, how to look some things up. So, and there's also a campaign mode. It's not a legacy campaign, so you don't carry things over from one scenario to the next, but you can kind of play through this whole story. So it tells you a whole story, and if you play this entire campaign, you get to see everything that the game has to offer. I want to do that at some point. I haven't started it yet. And then here's just even more flavor. So they give you some background about the raiders and each of the factions. It's just really cool. And then it gives you even more flavor about each individual driver that you can play as. So that's really cool. So the first thing you see as far as the components, like I said, mine's already been punched. maybe this video will help you when you're punching your things, but this part wasn't too difficult. This is the mod shop, and once you have this frame on here, it's really clear where everything goes. But I mean, these trays are incredible. These trays were done by the company Game Trays. They didn't manufacture them, but he did design these game trays, and they were done really well. So just keep in mind, the Game Trays company, this isn't some huge corporation. This is a gamer like us that does this because he enjoys it, and he did a great job on this. And I want to give a shout out to him. Check out GameTrayz.com. He has some really good stuff for Terra Mystica and Terraforming Mars, and he does a really good job. So this part's really easy to follow. And these are trailers that you can add to your truck, and they have these little indentions, so you can just grab one real easily. And all these other ones, the way they're designed, they're really easy to pull out as well. So there's the mod shop. All these snap on here perfectly. Next, this is really cool because it's actually a double tray. So what you do is you'll pop this open, and here's the 3 Raider trucks. And the 3 Raider trucks do come with stickers. You can put them wherever you want. Some people put one on one side and one on the other. But I thought that this wood texture was so cool, I didn't want to put a sticker over it. So I just put it on the tailgate. But if I was a master painter, I would probably draw the symbol there or even there, so that no matter where it was on the board, you could tell what it was. I might still try to do that. But each one of these Raider trucks, the game comes with 2 stickers you can put on the truck there. So the one I showed you first was the 9.9. This is the Railman, and then this is the bone something, but maybe bone saw. And then this one is Big Boss in one of the priority 1 objectives. You can see it's pretty detailed as well. So very Mad Max-esque. Really cool game. Then you've got the artifacts. These are always going to be one of your missions. It's called the Blue Screen of Death. Then these are the supply tokens. So the whole game is pretty much about the supply that's available to everybody, and then there's a demand. So you've got supply tokens for water, food, and ammunition, or weapons, whatever you want to call it. And then you've got demand for water, food, and weapons. So basically you're going to these different outposts that have a supply, and then you're taking them to places that have a demand. And then you've got little side missions in there. There's smuggling runs that you can do as a side job for specific factions, and it usually involves delivering a specific supply to a specific city, regardless of the demand at the city. So that's what's in the top tray, and that's just the top tray for your character pieces. So once you take your characters out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's one more character than the game supports. So it gives you a good selection. So each character has their own individual vehicle. None of the vehicles are the same except for the 3 Raiders, and these are all really detailed, really cool looking vehicle figures. See if there we go. Just really cool. And then each character will have these standees. So these 3 standees you'll use when you complete priority 1 objectives. Once you've completed 3 priority 1 objectives, you've won the game. If you ever meet demand in a city, so if you pick up a supply and then meet the demand on the map, you'll put this on the place that you met the demand, and it basically means you're no longer welcome there. You've already met the demand. You need to go meet the demand somewhere else before you come back there. And then each player will get, I think it's 10 of these little tracker tokens. So some of the objectives require you to do things in different, like 4 different locations. So you'll put a little tracker thing on the location when you do it. These are to track your actions. Each round, everybody gets 5 actions. So these are to keep track of those. And everything fits in here just perfectly. It is really awesome. So this fits right back on top of here. So once everybody's chosen their character, you just pop it right back on here. Pop this open, and then you have access to these as you need them throughout the game. That's the second tray. Third tray, again designed by Game Trayz with a Z. Game TRAYZ.com. This guy did an amazing job. So these are the goods that are being supplied and being demanded. So these are like little weapons crates. And then these are barrels of water. And then these are crates of food. Alright, and the way these were designed, like I said at the beginning of the game, you're going to fill these raiders trucks up with these goods. So as they move around the map, if you encounter them and you fight them, sometimes, depending on what you've done earlier, you have a choice to pillage. So if you beat the raiders, you pillage them, take whatever is on their truck, put it on your player board, as long as you have somewhere to store it, and then you refill the raider truck with whatever goods were on the raider that you defeated. So it's really cool the way they designed that. Then this also holds specific mission things, like here's a nuke that's used in a certain mission, and here's little dig tokens, and some of them have treasures and some of them are just black holes, so you have to dig around and try to find treasures. And then you've got money in 1s, 5s, and 10s, and the money's really cool. It's supposed to be like scrap metal. And then these are the damage tokens. Instead of just doing a square skull, it's, you know, as if that part is literally damaged and a chunk's missing from it. It's really cool. So that's that tray. It's basically all your resources and money. And that's not all. Then you've got, this is like the economy track, basically. So these different, you know, tokens or that represent what's in demand will be on this track. So you see the ammo always starts at 4, the food always starts at 2, and the water always starts at 3. And then depending on how many of these little demand tokens are out on the board, so if there was 5 water demand tokens, you would add 5 to 3, and the water demand would be 8. Say there was 2 weapons, that would be 6, and there was 3 food, that would be 5. So now whenever you meet the demand for any one of these items, that's how much scrap or money you'll get when you deliver it. So once you meet the demand, you'll reduce the demand by 1, put a new demand token out, and then adjust the appropriate item based on the new demand amount that's on the board. So that's what that's used for. This holds all the artifacts. Like I said, blue screen of death will always be part of the game, and this just tells you how much the next artifact costs you. So the first one's always $7. That one's purchased. The next one's 8. Next one's 8. Next one's 9. So they get more expensive. So if you're going to go for the blue screen of death, I would go ahead and make that decision early on and go for it immediately. This is the mod shop takeout menu. This basically tells you what everything in the mod shop costs and what it does. And this is the same thing on both sides. It's double-sided. So you can pass this around so people can look at what's available without having to pass this whole tray around. If they didn't have to do that, it was a really good idea. I'm glad they did it. It makes it a lot easier when you're playing the game. These are the location tiles. There's 21, I believe. And they're going to be in different places every time you play the game. The only thing is, the depot will always be in the center, and then the 4 raider enclaves will always be opposite each other on the middle of the top left, right, and bottom of the board. But as you can see, they do different things. If you take the outpost action, like the coffers will just give you $3 if you're short on money. You can get a rad shield so you don't have to roll for radiation damage at neutral noble. Here you can go to the temp shop. So part of the mod shop are these temp items. You can only buy these temp items from a temp location. Otherwise, you can go to the mod shop locations, use the outpost action, and purchase anything from the mod shop, except for the rad shield and the broker, which can only be purchased from either Serenity, and like I said, the rad shield can be purchased from Neutral Noble. But yeah, that's kind of cool that the locations will be different in different places every time you play. These are the 16 terrain tiles, so you'll have 4 columns of 4, and they're the same on both sides, but each tile is different. And then there's 3 or 4 of these nuke zones that are easy to move through, but you have to roll a nuke dice to see if you take damage, or you know, radiation dice, whatever you want to call it. And it's pretty thematic. So the areas that have like craters and stuff have more spaces to go. You know, so if I want to go from here to here, I'd have to go 1, 2, 3, 4. But here there's less craters and mountains, so I go from one side to the other in 2 moves. So that's cool how they did that. See, the mountains have more spaces, and then the places that have just been wiped off the earth, just one big flat area, is just one space for that entire tile, but you're going to take damage. And you might be wondering what these little colorful dots on here are. Basically, if you end your movement on any of these spots, you get to move the corresponding raider truck. So these raider trucks go on these center spots, and if this isn't a good example, but okay, say I landed on this green spot on this tile, I could move this truck up, down, left, or right to the next tile. But if you land in a spot with the raider truck, you have to fight them or try to run away. I'm not going to get into too much detail in this video. I just want you to see all the components and kind of an overview of how the game works. So then you've got 10 of these combat dice. It works out perfect because everybody starts with 2 dice. So if you're playing 5-player, you all get 2 dice. And then later, if you buy some stuff from the mod shop that gives you 1 additional die, then that's fine. You can just share the dice. And they got a spot in the box where they fit perfectly. And then there's another spot for these. This is what you roll if you try to run away from the raiders. There's a 2 in 6 chance that you're going to take damage. Or maybe you won't. And then this is the rad dice. Anytime you go through any irradiated zone, you have a 4 in 6 chance of taking damage. So it's really worth getting that rad shield because you don't have to roll that die. Especially if when you set up the game it turns out that the irradiated zones are like right in the middle of the board and you have no choice but to go through them every single time you go across the board, which has happened. Alright, so there's 3 factions in the game. They each have their own deck. These decks consist of some priority 1 cards that can be game winning. So this would be added to the 3 priority 1 missions that come out for everybody. Those are shared. This would be a secret mission just for you. And if you complete this, you get to put one of your 3 guys out, and that counts as one of your 3 missions towards success. Then there's smuggling runs. The smuggling runs have this icon in the top right. Some of these missions will say complete a smuggling run. There you go, complete 2 smuggling runs from the New Republic Army faction. The New Republic Army is this right here. So if you can complete 2 cards from this deck with this symbol, then you've completed this mission. And that's 1 out of 3 objectives complete to win the game. And then some of them are just different missions to get you money or some allies, so on and so forth. So that's what those decks consist of. Then you've got the Raider Enclaves. If you remember it, I said there's Raider Enclaves that you're going to put in opposite spaces across the board. And when you enter those spaces, you have to battle somebody from this Raider Enclave deck. So you'll flip the first card over. I'll just show you a few of these. So you'll have to roll a 4 or greater to beat this person. Then if you haven't pillaged, you can pillage and take these items. Let's just go through a few of these. The artwork is awesome. Some of them are a bit inappropriate. We haven't seen any of them yet. So these values go up to 7. And you are rolling dice, so you never know. Just awesome. You can imagine the characters you're going to see during a, apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic world. Alright, so if you ever end up on the same space as a Raider truck and you choose to battle, you'll take one of these Raider truck cards. And the way this works is you have to get this number higher. If you do, you get whatever goods are in the truck at that moment. Then you replace those goods with whatever's on this card. If you fail, you take a damage. Same with the Raider Enclave cards. Now, I'll let you look at some of these. See, there you go. That's what's going on with Mickey Mouse. I don't know. Awesome. Bean Man. Feather Woman. Just, I don't care what it looks like. The art's awesome, and I love it. All right, so allies, thematically, you can think of it like this. You're riding along in your car. You've got 1 space next to you in the passenger seat, so you can carry 1 ally. Anything beyond the first ally, you have to buy a sleeper cab from the mod shop. So you can carry 1 additional ally for each sleeper cab you have. And I'll show you some of the allies. +2 on water deliveries. +2 on food deliveries. -1 on all cargo purchases. It's really good. So no matter where you buy from, you get -1 when you purchase food, water, or weapons. After taking damage in combat, reroll 1 die. So you're still going to take the damage, but you could kill the bad guy and still pillage. +2 on all weapons deliveries. You get the idea. So, and the artwork on these is just as cool and sometimes a little bit friendlier. But anyway, that's how allies work. And then finally, this is the first player marker and event deck. So you'll flip the first card over. The first one is always going to say, just don't die. So this will always be the first event. Try not to die. Alright? Then, after everybody's used all 5 of their actions, you pass this to the person on your left. They are the new first player. They flip it over. You do whatever it says. In turn order, each player chooses 1 active demand counter and flips it face down for the round. Adjust the market prices accordingly. So you'll flip down some demand counters and then adjust the market price. So there's a bunch of different events, and it's cool how they made this the first player marker in addition to being an event deck. This is the Vision Quest deck. I'm not going to get into that, but there's a certain scenario where you get a Vision Quest and you'll get 3 cards, and there's 3 different objectives. Once you've completed all those objectives, you get a priority class 1, so it's 1 towards your 3 win objectives. And then these are the common priority first class contracts. So once, these apply to everybody. So everybody can complete any one of these towards their win condition, and blue screen of death will always be part of these 3. So you'll pull blue screen of death out and then 2 others. And this basically just says get 3 artifacts, those things that go here, and deliver them all to the depot at one time. So that'll always be in there. And the only other thing I haven't shown you are the player boards. So each player has their own starting advantage. See? But they're all the same basically. You can put an armor here. Only an armor can go here. And when you would take damage, you put a damage on the armor. The next damage you would take, you remove the armor. So it'll give you 2 shots without taking any real damage to your cab. Then, like I said, you can buy those trailers from the mod shop and add them down below here. You can only have 2 trailers, no more than 2. And this is where you'll put all your mods you buy from the Temp and Mod shop. This is also where you take damage. If all these are full of damage and you would take damage, you just ignore it. You don't blow up or anything like that. There's no player elimination. And if you want to see how this works, just go check out Rodney's Watch It Played. He does it really well, and I don't want to confuse anybody. But this is where you move your little action things around. You can pillage. You can purchase stuff from supply locations. You can deliver stuff to demand locations. And you can use outpost actions. These are only used when he specifically tells you to in that specific scenario or objective. So these are really cool. They got some awesome artwork on the back. And they're not flimsy. All this stuff is high quality. So that's Wasteland Express. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Also check out gamingonboard.com. I put all my videos on the website as well. We have links there to our Facebook and Instagram page. I do post to Instagram daily. And until next time, play all the games.